Welcome to our short demo on the current capabilities of HCMX FinOps Express. I'm going to start with demonstrating our aggregated cloud cost reports. And first and foremost, these cost reports help you to accurately identify the who, the what, the where, and the when of your cloud spend. And we're going to demonstrate this process today with a simple example via this report where we see that historically, our cloud spend has been around 150,000 per month, but then in July, something caused it to spike up. So we know the when, and as a second step now, let's see if we can easily figure out the what. So figure out what the money was spent on. And a good place to start in this investigation are our top level pivots, where we have a pivot for spend by product that shows a clear breakdown at the highest level of spend over products, compute, database services, and blob storage. Now here in our example, we clearly see that the cause of our overspend is to be found in the context of the compute product that blew up significantly between June and July. Now we're going to dive deeper into the what in a minute, but I also want to show you our top level pivots for the where or the location of your cloud spend, and then also the pivot for the who, and the who here is represented by the cloud account. So for our example, we have now established that all overspend was done by the cloud accounts that start with 3456 and 5678. Okay, so now we know from our top level pivots that the overspend happened for the compute product. So we're going to double click a little bit on that via our second level pivots. And if we start with the spend pivot, then we can immediately see that all overspend was caused by the use of expensive M4 double extra large instances. And if we want to know how many of these came into use and overlay that with one of the spend offenders, in this case cloud account 3456, then we see that in July, the team that owns the account 3456 started using 5 very expensive M4 double extra large instances. So we can now go to the team that owns this account and work with them to figure out if they really need to be using such an expensive resource type on an ongoing basis. Next up, I'm going to show you our cloud cost limits. I have multiple cloud cost limits defined, ranging from 10K per month to 75K per month. And what's nice is that you can link cloud accounts from multiple different cloud providers to these spend limits. So across AWS, Azure, and Google. So let's drill into the spend limit for 75K per month, because the red notification icon here signals that at least one account has gone over its limit. And not surprisingly, it is the AWS account starting with 3456. Now, when an account goes over its limit, then we start sending out email notifications. And you can of course easily configure who gets these notifications here on the left. So with these cloud cost limits, you can help teams to stay on track so that collectively they don't blow up the budget for cloud spend for the larger business unit. Next up, let me show you how we help you to manage reservations. Now you can save a lot of money by purchasing such reservations, but from a return on investment perspective, it only makes sense to do this for resources that are going to run in your environment for longer periods of time, typically 1 or 3 years. Now you can of course wait a year and see which resources are still around, but that leaves a lot of money on the table. What you really need to do is identify good candidates early, but that is very hard to do without something like machine learning. Luckily, we have machine learning on board to make reservation management fun and easy. Let's start with taking a look at reservation coverage. We show targets and actuals for each cloud type, but let me focus on AWS to explain this graph. So the top line shows you your coverable estate, so the percentage of your estate for which reservations make sense. The bottom line shows you your current actual coverage. And as you can see in our demo here, there's quite a gap, which is why our overall score, 44 out of 100, isn't very good. Now you can fix your score by bringing the bottom line as close as possible to the top line. But how do you do that? Well, very simple. By following our instructions. Simply click on See All Recommendations and you get an overview of all reservation purchases that make sense for your environment, sorted in order of highest return. And as you work your way through the recommendations, over time, your actual coverage will match your coverable estate, providing you maximum savings with reservations. To wrap up today's demo, I'm also going to show you one of the new features we're working on, which is our aggregated cloud cost dashboard. This dashboard shows you at a glance your total managed cloud spend across multiple clouds, how this total cloud spend is trending versus last year, and then a breakdown of this cloud spend by provider for the current year as well as for your recent history. This way, you can easily track changes in usage across the public clouds that you're working with, and you can see if your FinOps practices push your spend in the right direction.